Let's talk about all things happening in the world of sports. From the latest Saints moves to all that happens in college football, along with in-depth interviews and much more. It's time for Sports Chat with George Faust.
All right, welcome into Sports Chat. This week's edition brought to you, by KLFY Plus. We appreciate you accessing our show. We have a great guest this week. It's Buford Jordan. Buford is joining us, and he's got a lot on his plate. He looks like he could still play football. It's amazing. It's amazing, man. I remember, so way back, I don't know how many years ago that was, but we used to put on a bowling event, and Buford was one of our celebrity guys that came for the bowling event, and that's kind of where I first kind of got to know you a little bit better than just I know Buford Jordan's an athlete from our area who made it to the NFL. But that's kind of the initial part of where I got to meet you, and then obviously just dealing with you over the years in different events, and you have things that are going on, and you've got a lot on your plate. First off, welcome into the show. Thanks so much for being here.
George. Thank you. Appreciate you having me here.
Absolutely. So what's going on? I mean, you got a lot happening in your life. I know we're going to get into a lot of stuff, but just give us a kind of a quick overview of what's happening in your world.
Well, for the last couple of months, we've been working with an NFL flag product that we got. That's part of the NFL, one of the NFL products. So
yeah, sure.
Been promoting that for boys and girls ages 4 to 17 up in the Kenner area, the New Orleans area. Which is in Kenner, but that's where I live. So I say in Kenner, but we're doing that with this program, to bring it to Kenner.
The masses. Flag football is getting really big. I mean, it's going to be an Olympic sport here when LA hosts the Olympic Games, the Summer Games. You're coming up shortly, sooner than we can think. But so we're going to have like these pro athletes playing flag football. Flags are kind of a big deal now. So you got that going on. You got. You always have different camps, since I see you wearing the Sports Academy shirt.
And that's what really led up to this.
Okay.
Doing all these camps all over, the last one doing in Iota. And then the NFL came where I could do the same stuff with these camps, but now I get to add flag football to it.
Wow, okay.
Because what we're going to do is with the Flag League, we're going to be doing the same drills and stuff that I did with my speed and agility camps with this. And all we have to add is them to catch the ball and learn how to throw.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. We don't have to teach them how to block, how to tackle, all that stuff, with it. So it's basically the speed and agility camp with football on the weekend.
You're right.
That's what I would look at.
It works good. It's really, I mean, and look, I mean, learning to just kind of play the sport in general. I mean, that the mechanics, I guess, stay the same with regards to, hey, you got to run, you got to be able to stop and start, things like that. And it's very similar with regards to what you're trying to teach a young person, the earlier they can get in. And I guess girls too now. There's a lot of leagues are opening up to sports to all types.
Right, and what it is with that, young ladies are getting college scholarships. For flag football now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They're starting to do it in the upper states because they have a few of them around here that are accepting, young ladies to play college football, for flag football. So, it's a big thing. And then the NFL has put $130 billion into media for professional flag for men and women.
Wow.
That's coming. So, it's a big upcoming thing and we're trying to make a big push for women to play this.
Now, the league, you're going to start whatever the league is that you're starting up down there in Kenner. Is that something that's statewide? Do they have different leagues all across the state and a region?
In fact, there's 1,600 flag leagues throughout the world.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
With Mexico and all of them included international, but there's that many here. There's two that's active in New Orleans, 2 more that's doing what we're doing. I don't know when they're starting their season, but we're going to start up April.
Okay.
You know, April 7th, 11th is going to be like our first week.
Gotcha.
Of the start. And
so
then,
people can sign up for your
Yes.
your event, your flag football league right now.
We're signing them up now.
Where do they go to sign up? And
we have our website at 2380EFL.com.
okay.
You know, or if they can't do it there, they can go to NFLflag.com, and then they go to locate and put our zip code, which is a 70065.
Correct.
And it'll pull up the teams in that area, which is us.
Gotcha.
You know, and get them there, so then they'll be able to take them there. So, and then they can hit City of Kenner, you know, at what is it, City of Kenner at .la.us, all that
Gotcha.
stuff.
Yeah,
But the
right,
City
right.
of Kenner's website is going to have about us on there. So,
Gotcha.
you know, that's a way to do it.
Y'all gonna play at Musbertolino or
It's going to be Buddy Lawson.
Okay.
Which is in Rivertown.
Okay, yeah.
On the other side of town.
Grew up down there, so
I know you know
I'm
where
very
it is.
familiar with all that stuff.
Yeah, so we just doing that and trying to, you know, like I said, get the playgrounds back active again.
Yeah.
And what we want to know is people to know is this is for all sports. You know, girls, ball, basketball, soccer, whatever, because as you said, we work on backpedaling, shuffling, sprinting, changing directions, running forward, and those types of things. So most of the practice consists of drills, pulling flags, you know, they cutting and turning and all that. And like you said, then all we got to do is pass. So with our practices, they're only going to be like 40 minutes, you know, at the length and stuff with it. And hey, we got a lot of my former teammates. Brad Ellerman come out there and help us coach. We got Corey Dowden, you know, that's a New Orleans native, played with Washington. Then I got my teammate, Flip Johnson, Buffalo Bills, Tyrone Hughes. You know, hey, even college buddies, Cedric Potan from McNeese.
Okay.
You know, and other guys that want to get on and help and do this with that. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff we're bringing to work on the basics, 2 practices a week, and play on Saturday.
Gotcha. All right. Well, cool. We're going to talk about it a little more as well as we get through the hour. We're also going to talk about, man, your playing career and just how it all shook out for you. And you brought this up, and I'm excited about it. We can talk about the draft, the NFL draft.
Oh yeah,
because man, the Saints have been making some moves this offseason in free agency.
Right.
So far, so good. And then, man, there's all kinds of things that happened that we can touch on.
Let's do it.
And we'll do that. And all this whole episode of Sports Chat, we're gonna get you ready for the draft.
I'm ready.
And take a walk down memory lane. All that good stuff going to come up on this edition of Sports Chat. Don't go away. Much more coming up.
Sports Chat with George Faust.
Welcome back to Sports Chat. Buford Jordan is our guest, the former New Orleans Saint and New Orleans Breaker, Portland Breaker as well.
That too.
But I was looking at the stats, and I just told you this. I didn't realize that you were the leading rusher. You had the most touchdowns for a running back on the team. And the first year when you were in New Orleans, you led the team in rushing,
right?
Like over 1,200 yards, I think,
Yes.
something like that. But a lot of people might, I mean, maybe they don't remember, but maybe they do. But Marcus Dupree was on that team too.
Right.
And Marcus was a unbelievable college player,
Right.
Oklahoma, and then got into some stuff with Southern Miss and was he supposed to go there or not? Anyway, but Marcus was there as well, and so what a dynamic backfield you guys had in the USFL for the New Orleans Breakers there.
It was, you know, and especially for them because, you know, the thing was going in there and the way Marcus came in, hey, I was already working and in the system and stuff. So for him, he had to come in and learn the system, you know, which I had a head start. So really he'd come in, you know, certain plays and make certain things happen. And he was a great relief for me. You know what I'm saying? After I get up there, we didn't lose much with him going in. Yeah. You know, and like you said, and the thing is, you said that about leading with touchdowns. That's I just tell people this, you know, with it, because a lot of them just remember him diving over the top.
Yeah.
You know, which was the awesome thing and stuff. It was like, people looked at us and said, you did all the work. And I said, I don't care. The team scored.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and
sure.
when he went up in there, so that's why a lot of people, thought he was the one that did all that, but
Yeah.
it was the touchdown I couldn't get in.
You got him 80 you got him
saying.
75 yards, and then he would take it in from the 5.
It was all right, long as we scored.
Yeah,
and that's why I told people, if they look, though, who was one of the first people to come in and congratulate him. I was just happy we scored. So, we had a little dance we had to do. So I'd go in there and we'd do our little dance, congratulate him. We were, like we said, we both, 21, 20 years old. We were having fun, still playing the game
football.
we loved,
Yeah.
getting paid and all that. So it wasn't no time to be enemies, especially when we trying for the same cause to win.
Yeah. I that is such a fond time for me because, growing up down there, I got to go to I probably went to almost all the home games for the Breakers, and I remember just what a phenomenal start to the year y'all had, and it was I want to say it was 8-0, but the records don't show that. I don't know what they're looking at.
I know we started out 7-0.
Okay.
7-0, and we wound up 8-10.
Okay, all right. The back half of the season went downhill.
Yeah. Well, our quarterback got hurt, and we really didn't have a quality quarterback.
Okay.
We had Johnny Walton, he had played in the World League, so I tell you how old he was. And then he played with the Philadelphia. That's how him and Coach Corey had that when Corey was coaching. But when he got hurt, the backups just didn't have the same thing he had, rhythm, so kind of went down in a couple of more injuries and stuff. But, hey, man, look, I'm going to tell you what, that was one of the funnest times of football in that dome. That was my first experience being in the dome.
The Breakers. Absolutely. And, what's crazy is so I remember, I'm 84. That was 84, right?
Yeah.
So I'm 9 years old, and this is one of those stories that it had a profound, one of these times in your life where it had a profound effect on you. So I'm a young kid. My mom was a teacher. Apparently Dick Corey's wife was a teacher as well. And they taught, they knew each other. They taught together, whatever it was. So we used to get some field passes.
Right.
So after the game, we got to go down on the field, and I'm running around the Superdome, after the Breakers game, going up and down. And then my dad was friends with a couple of guys who were over at WWL radio, and they were like, "Oh, we're going in the locker room. Does your son want to go in the locker room?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." So I go in the locker room. I can distinctly remember. I don't know if people know Jim Henderson. He used to be the voice of the Saints. He was a sports director at WWL down in New Orleans. But I got to go into the locker room post game, and Jim Henderson's interviewing Marcus Dupree. And I'm literally like standing right there, just like, I guess my dad was with me. And I'm just watching, and I'm like, man, what a cool gig this is. What that would be awesome to be able to do that. And they're right. And I ended up that's always what I kind of aspired to be was in journalism and be around sports and now I do the morning show, but I still do sports as well. I have this opportunity to do this podcast and things of that nature. So there's always some great stuff that's happening. It's just funny how life kind of.
It does.
That experience kind of put me on a path to where, man, if I can't, I always wanted to be a pro athlete, but I just didn't have the talent level for that, which is fine. And I was like, what can I do to be around it?
Yeah.
And that was it. And sure enough, man, I just remember watching Jim Henderson interview Marcus, and I'm like, man, this is cool. This is
right.
Really
Oh yeah.
So that kind of the Breakers always have a special place in my heart because of that. I got an opportunity. That was the first time I ever got to be in a post game locker room, anything.
I got
like
you,
that.
man.
So,
and look at what it is.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, you sit there and not trying to take it, but that's what we're hoping to do with this league.
Gotcha.
Get kids to do with our YouTube stuff. Start maybe doing some commentating with some commentators. To get them practice, internships, and all of that stuff with the YouTube channels we're going to have. So it can be, like you said, they get in there and start with this, and then they get into the next. So yes, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had the opportunity to play for the Breakers, and then they obviously that season they were only there 1 year in New Orleans, and then they went to Portland. What was that like? That experience being over in Portland?
Well, it was a good experience, because like you said, going there, hey, they did the same thing because they didn't have no professional sports over there. So
yeah, sure.
Doing that, hey, we went in there, got great reception. And all just like we did here. And the only thing was, with all the things had wound up folding, or we'd have been back there another year. And I really enjoyed it there, too. The people were awesome and, seeing a whole nother country, living there for, 6 months, for the season, 4 months or whatever. So that was a great experience.
Yeah.
The only time I played ball outside of Louisiana.
How about that? Yeah, sure enough.
That is. Not many people get that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, because then, I guess what is 86?
Right.
86 would have been Jim Moore comes
First
in.
year.
And Jim Moore had coached the Philadelphia Stars
Right.
of the USFL, and they were really successful.
And
he
all
won
three
two
champions, yeah.
Three? They won three?
No, they were in
two?
three.
Oh, they were in three. They
And
won
won
two.
two.
That's right. And then you get Bobby Hebert from Michigan. They
Yep.
won one in the USFL. So Bobby comes down.
Yeah.
He basically took all the all-stars from the USFL. Jim
he
Moore,
did.
Jim Finks, and those guys came in and made the Saints like for the first time in the history of the Saints.
Yeah.
We had optimism as Saints fans. You're thinking, all right, we got some talent here. The defense was phenomenal with Sam Mills and those guys,
Vaughn Johnson.
Yeah, Vaughn Johnson and the Dome Patrol, all that good stuff. Yeah, and I was watching some highlights of you, and man, 18. Who was the quarterback that was 18? Was that wasn't Wade Wilson, was it?
Yes, it was.
It was?
No. Dave Wilson.
Dave Wilson.
Wilson
That's right,
was
Dave
number
Wilson.
18.
Dave
Yeah,
Wilson.
the red head.
Yeah, okay. So Dave Wilson handing you the ball. Then you had Bobby Hebert handing you the ball, and John Forcade.
And then that, shoot, hey, look, we had Matt Robinson.
Okay.
Hey, you keep going. We got,
right.
We
Well,
had
those
a
are the
few.
three that
I know, but
that stuck in my head.
Yeah,
because,
I know, that's
because,
good.
Bobby Hebert, obviously, he was kind of the
yeah, he wound up being
the starter and the
at
main
the
guy,
end.
and then John Forcade. I went to Ole Miss, so John Forcade, I was always like watching him.
Forcade, yeah.
So and he did a great job of when the strike hit, he kind of stuck.
That's
and
what
was
got
good
his-
enough good enough
got
to
him in the door.
got him in the
Yeah.
door. Sure
And
enough.
it did for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, that had gotten cut from that, got in the door with that and all.
Now, let me ask you this real quick. I guess you don't have to be real quick, but
No.
did you get drafted into the USFL?
Yes.
Did you decide to go to?
I was
Did
drafted.
you do like the Herschel Walker and said, I'm going to go to the New Jersey Generals instead you got drafted
I got
into
drafted.
the USFL?
Yes. What happened is the Breakers were up in Boston their first year.
Sure.
Then they moved down to New Orleans. Joe Cannizzaro became the owner.
Okay.
And I just broke Louisiana's all-time rushing record of
At
Charles
McNeese?
Alexander. Yeah.
Okay, right.
At McNeese. And that's what he did. He wanted to draft. He wanted to draft a Louisiana boy, and he did me. That's what I was saying. Dick Corey, he wanted more of a pass receiving type back instead of running the way he did that offense with that little spread stuff. So, but Joe Cannizzaro said, no, we drafted him, and wound up drafting me. So I got drafted and went. Hey, I was in the All-Star game in Frisco, the East-West Shrine.
Yeah, sure.
And they drafted me. While that was going on, I flew straight there.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
did you ever think, well, maybe I want to go to the NFL, not to the USFL? Was that an option, or because at the time, I guess the smaller schools, see what I'm saying? Like, was there an opportunity for you to get drafted in the NFL?
They tried to tell me to wait. But
The NFL did.
the NFL. Well,
Okay.
that's what they were telling all of us. What happened was I wound up my senior year, had a knee injury.
Okay.
Like the fourth game of the season, halftime, they blew it out. They had to go in, clean the knee out. So what happened is that at that time I tore the ACL, but I had the ligaments that were still intact. So I did that, came back 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and finished the season. and did all those things and stuff. So it wasn't much of a choice. When the Breakers said they drafted me without no physical, knowing I had
gotcha.
the knee and just coming off it, that was a no-brainer.
And look, nowadays the UFL,
right,
which is a combination of the USFL and the XFL or UFL or whatever it was. That's a combination, and those are guys that don't have as much talent. Back then in 84, 80, you guys were just as talented. I mean, you guys were the USFL was getting quality talent. It was really challenging, and the NFL. And I think the one mistake the USFL made was that they tried to challenge the NFL a little too quick
with the financial.
Correct.
Because they weren't. I think the league wasn't supposed to make but like 30, because the NFL wasn't playing but 60.
Right.
And they were established, so they were thinking an average of about 30,000 for us. But then Donald Trump, like you
that's
said,
right.
Well,
that's right.
That was the rules, and he went out and got Herschel Walker.
Right.
Just won the Heisman as a junior, and the NFL wasn't taking underclassmen at that time.
Right.
So when he did that, every owner wanted to start getting star players, so they start doing it. And it's like they said, they didn't have a budget set for that kind of money.
Right.
And all of a sudden you go from 30 to $1 million and doing it, and then you get crazier with Steve Young come in and you talk about
LA
40
Express.
million
The LA
for
Express.
40 years. You know what I'm saying? NFL guys wasn't even getting that kind of money.
Right.
So that set where that's put him in a bad too.
Correct.
They
kind of got upside down real quick.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So, but the talent level was there though. It wasn't a developmental league, which is kind of what the UFL is now. It wasn't like the USFL was actually getting players that. Jim Kelly played for the Houston Gamblers.
Reggie White.
Yeah, Reggie White played for the Memphis Showboats.
Right.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson.
Yeah, they were in Philadelphia
Antonio
with
Gibson.
Sam Mills played with the Stars, correct?
That's right, and Vaughn played with Jacksonville.
Okay, all right. I didn't know where Vaughn played. So
we had like 16 when we went to the Saints. We had like 20 guys
from the USFL.
From the USFL,
on
that team.
Man, what a great! Jim Finks did a phenomenal job for the Saints, making them relevant. And Jim Moore came in as his head coach and was just the perfect guy for that job. The perfect guy, and he changed the culture of what the Saints were. It was just so fun to watch. It was, it's in the wheelhouse of my childhood, right? This is where I'm 9, 10, 11, and the Saints 87. The Saints year for 87 was a big year. And dude, you laughing because you don't expect me to know all of this.
No, I do. It was fun. I'm just laughing about how fun all of it was.
Yeah. So you were on the 87 team?
Yes, I remember I joined him with the first year.
You're right.
86.
Correct.
And we almost did it that first year.
Yeah.
And did it and came back the next year, and the next couple of years we did that.
So 87, that playoff, they had a winning season, right?
In 86.
86 was the first winning season.
No. 86 we almost.
Okay.
We went 7-9.
Okay.
And then that next year was the strike year.
Okay.
And then we came back and we went 12-3.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we had that 9-game win streak.
Yeah.
After coming back from the strike.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, serious. But one thing is that helped us as a team. Hey, man, we all would get out there and practice every day.
Yeah.
The plays. I looked at that now. I said maybe they should have let us keep doing the practice ourselves. We might have won the whole Super Bowl.
So were you part of the scabs?
No, I didn't cross the line.
You didn't cross the line.
I didn't.
I was curious.
No.
Yeah.
No, I did. And a couple of guys did. But, hey, guys had decisions.
You got to feed your family, things of that nature.
How their situation was
correct.
at the time.
Yeah.
And did it. So
what do you think? What do you think of like the way that is all? Because they haven't really. I'm trying to think of there were the latest kind of strike. As I try to scour my brain here and think about when's the last time there was an NFL strike, but they
had one. It was 90 something.
Yeah.
To ratify, it was like 92, 93.
Yeah.
92, they had a ratification of that Plan 88, Plan B, and all that.
Right.
So that came to a halt to
And
where they got
the
the
free
total
agent thing.
free agents.
Yeah. Because that's when Bobby Hebert went from he's
Sat
like, I'm
out a
gonna
year.
he went and he was like, I'm gonna test the free
Right.
agent waters, and Atlanta picks him up.
Right.
And so that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
so 87 was the start of it.
Okay.
And that's when they did it with the 80, it started at Plan B stuff and all in 88, and then 92, I think, they redid it. They didn't go on strike. They just
they were. Everybody was talking about it.
They were going to, but then they got all that, and that's when total free agency.
Yeah,
came
and
about.
Bobby went and challenged, tried that out, tested that water.
It paid out for him when he sat out for that year.
Yeah, it did.
Like he said, whatever he was supposed to make, he got 10 times.
Yeah.
That, he was already one of the $1 million quarterbacks.
Right. Sure.
Back then, so
right. No, it's funny how it evolves, and nowadays there's so much there's so many I's dotted and T's crossed. It's almost like it takes all the fun out of being a player. But I mean,
Right.
you would be able to speak to it better than me, obviously. But I mean, the business side of of football, does that affect you guys as a player? I mean, how did it affect you as a player?
Yeah, you can let it affect you, what I'm saying? Because, some guys feel they should be paid this, and they do their performance or trade me or whatever. So, hey, and one thing is you ain't going to never make everybody happy, no matter what. So that's what it comes down to. People put their value and worth on something, and if they don't get it, then they pout about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to take what you get and work your butt off.
Right. Go prove it, and then go get it after that. Yeah. Guy like A.J. Brown is the one that pops into my head right now, the wide receiver from the Eagles.
Right.
There's big debate on whether or not he's going to be back or with the Eagles or not. So it's kind of that idea. I mean, do you go test the free agent walkers? Do the Eagles get rid of him because I don't know that he's a real issue off the field. He's just a unique character,
right?
And I think that stuff like that is always interesting.
A lot of that deals with for teams of keeping players, the attitudes and all. But I mean, the thing about it is you got to try and see what you can get out there.
Yeah,
you got to see what your value is, and if you don't, hey. Then you come back and you got to sit down and accept what they want you to accept.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But I know exactly what you're saying.
That's the whole thing with it is if somebody got some interest with you, you go out there and try to see what the interest is.
Yeah. Did you ever have to deal with any of that?
I did.
In your career?
I did with that Plan B. I went to do all that with visiting teams. But as I said, with having that bad ACL, nobody wanted to take a chance. Even when I was released at the end of the year, I went to some camps and stuff, but they just didn't want to.
They got too nervous.
Yeah.
Well, it's like if you look at what happened to Max Crosby just recently,
right?
The Ravens cut his deal, and then they went and signed. They signed Trey Hendrickson. So Max Crosby that was a huge blockbuster trade, and wow, he didn't pass the physical, so the Ravens cut the deal.
That's how it works.
Yeah. And so
because some people will do that.
Yeah,
they won't say nothing, try to go in, think they'll get past the physical, and it wasn't that with me. I mean, my stuff was known.
Yeah, your
with
stuff
the knee.
was out
It wasn't
there.
no knee that was that, but it was known from Plan B.
Yeah,
because once you get something like that word spreads around.
Yep.
Especially with something that's a liability.
It's so funny because I mean the Saints' recent history would be completely different if Drew Brees ended up in Miami instead of New Orleans. If he didn't pass their physical. So so it's like, okay, glad.
And it's who wants to take the chance?
Right, correct. Is it worth taking a chance on somebody?
Right.
And what kind of person are they? And do they have the mental fortitude to power through an injury of some sort?
Right.
And do they put in the time, effort, and the detail that needs to be put forth to overcome an injury, I guess, is what I'm.
No, that's right. Well, I mean, you look at even like Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
15-year career.
Yeah.
People, well, he should be able to go somewhere. Well, then people are evaluating how much can he come and play for us. At 37, 15
right.
years.
He's up
the
there,
league.
yeah.
The possibility of injuries. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got all those things that people got to wait. And then with the years he got, they've got a minimum they can pay him regardless.
Yeah.
And it's not no chump change. It's a few million.
Right.
That's a minimum just because of the years of service.
Yeah.
That they get, So then you start throwing incentives in and all that.
Yeah.
And, hey, it can come up to quite a bit for maybe 1 year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the thing people are doing. When you're doing the free agency, how many years can you get out this guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we're gonna come back. We'll talk. I want to talk a little bit about the NFL draft coming up. We'll talk about the Saints a little bit because that's kind of more your wheelhouse. I would suspect. So we'll do that. We'll talk about that. We'll recap everybody on your flag football league that you guys are putting out there, and we'll do all of that when we come back right here on Sports Chat.
Sports Chat with George Faust.
Welcome back to Sports Chat. Buford Jordan is our guest. He's a former New Orleans Breaker, Portland Breaker, Saints running back / fullback. I guess a little bit of both, right? I mean, you had to play both positions. But I mean, I said it earlier. I just everybody thinks about when everybody I guess in general thinks about the Breakers, they think Marcus Dupree. But man, you were the leading rusher. And for the team it's quite impressive just the numbers you were able to put up for the Breakers during your 2 years with them and so brother. Very cool for you to take some time and hang with us and we appreciate it, man.
I'm happy to do it. I'm happy.
So before we get into the NFL draft stuff and just chatting a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit more about what you're working on. You guys have a flag football league that y'all are putting together down in Kenner, in the greater New Orleans area.
It's just NFL has provided this program to get more kids outdoors. As parents saying, hey, kids are all indoors and stuff. So they put out this, they've been having this program for 30 years. You know what I'm saying, the NFL flag. And,
sure.
We were just fortunate enough to get a franchise to be able to help them, put some programs out for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do that and get them out and going. But with our stuff, what we hope to do, really want to do is have the family involved, parents, sitting there watching their kids, because where we are a lot of kids, hey, parents, they want to drop them off and think it's a babysitting service. But what we want to do with it is have the parents out there seeing their child develop, and then when they see their child having problems, they can take them home and help work with it. And with our website, we have the tools to help them do that. Yeah. That's what I loved about this program.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you guys will play in Kenner. Y'all start when? In April?
Yes, April 6th is going to be – no, April 11th is the first game.
Okay.
And training camps – starts the 28th of March. That's Saturday, where we're going to get out there and do the NFL Combine stuff and all that for our kids. They're going to have a total NFL experience.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah. And you said some other former athletes will be out there for that portion of it anyway?
Brad Elderman, who played with
Number
us.
63.
Yep, all-pro, and he was all-pro, for the Saints. Oh, yeah. And Tyrone Hughes said he would do it with us.
Hughes, all right.
As well. We got Mark.
Was he 37? Is that right, Tyrone Hughes? I don't know.
Tyrone was 33.
33. Okay, 33.
33.
Mel Gray was 37.
37. That's right. Yeah. And then we got that. Maurice Hurst. They said he'd be one of those that helps. So we got a bunch of those guys going to come out there and help pass on some of this knowledge
absolutely.
to some of our coaches, our volunteer coaches, and all that. So
And so where can people go if they want to sign up for your league in Kenner?
2380EFL.com.
Perfect.
2380EFL.com. Instead of the N, just put an E, and it gets you there. And hey, the NFL flag, .com is another station. And as we said, you get to the City of Kenner's website.
Yeah, put in the zip code.
Yes, 70
for Kenner. Yep.
That's right.
Yep. All right,
and
cool deal.
Take you there.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully you have huge success with that. I know a lot of people like to play flag football. It's something that's going to get bigger and bigger, and it has. It's going to be in the Olympics now, so it's getting up there. It's definitely a sport that's growing in popularity.
It is, and hopefully we get this established. Hey, you'll be seeing us back this way.
Yeah,
with one down this thing down I-10.
Down I-10. Come over this
coming back home
to Acadiana. Yeah, sure enough. Let's talk a little bit about the NFL draft. Obviously, that's coming up here in a month or so, and there's a lot of action happening all around. Obviously, the Saints lost a couple of guys. But they gained a couple more, and I really feel confident about what the Saints have done. I mean, when you look at it, they lose DeMario Davis. They went and signed Cade Ellis from the Falcons yesterday or the other day, and there's just a lot of excitement surrounding what the Saints were able to do in getting Travis Etienne from Jennings, Jennings high product.
Yeah, his family.
Yeah, is it?
Found out we family.
Okay.
Hey, akin to the Etiennes here, so some kind of way down the line.
Yeah,
I'm going to find out and make sure.
All right.
That's what I was told. So.
Well, look, it makes a lot of sense, man. It makes a lot of sense.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So good luck. I've been watching them.
Well, I am a huge fan of guys who are from our state.
Yeah.
And they get to play for the Saints. I mean, I always am drawn to that. And I think a lot of people are because, you like to see the guys that you grew up with or people that are around, you and we've been pulling for them since they were in high school. Like when Kevin Falk goes to LSU, you're like, all right, we get to pull for a guy from Karen Crow at LSU, our schools, our state school. So, I just think there's a lot. The only thing that would have made it better is if he was winning all those Super Bowls with the Saints and not with the Patriots.
That's all right. Maybe he will.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's why he's
here.
Well, Kevin, right.
I
was thinking about Tien.
Yeah, you never know. Look, he might be the missing link that really needed to take place. And look, the Saints addressed running back. They addressed their O-line issue in free agency. Absolutely. So just tell me your thoughts about what they've been able to do, Mickey Loomis and crew, with this kind of quick early free agency period.
Yeah, well, just like you said, from what you've said and what I've heard, some good moves. And I thought they made good moves with the draft last year. Look at all the draft choices that came in and performed as we thought they would do, and from what we're seeing right here with all this, I think my man Kellen had a chance to really evaluate something that he had inherited before. And they were able to make a good decision on what areas they needed to improve on. And I think they're making those steps. I want to see what they do in the draft.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, look, they have 8 picks, and it looks like their first pick is obviously number 8. And everybody's talking about Jeremiah Love. They got to get that running back. But now you've addressed that situation, so you're really freed up. That's the beauty of what they've done is they freed themselves up
to do get
whatever they need
position.
To do in the draft.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's huge. And
especially with getting a solid running back.
Yep.
And that way you don't have to risk it on the draft.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you never know. And running backs are such the average span is 4 years in the NFL. So, I mean,
it went up.
It went up.
It was less than that when I was playing.
It was less than that. Yeah. No.
It was less than 3.
Right. So I mean, that's the
improvement of the game.
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen. I think defense is maybe where a lot of people are looking for the Saints. Maybe
Right.
getting a DB or another linebacker. Although
Right.
you figure the Ellis signing, getting him from Atlanta, that probably is. Replaces the Mario Davis departure,
Right.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's the same caliber or if you're still looking to add to it. You know what I mean? Like whether or not that satisfies the thirst for the linebacker spot.
Well, I think so, but you got to remember the linebacker they drafted last year,
Right.
from Oklahoma. He was playing a lot toward the end, so hopefully they get him and Ellis next to each other.
That could be good.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that'll be a solid little defensive middle protection right there for him.
Yeah, I'm always interested because to hear guys like you who've played in the league and your thoughts on the way the draft works. Obviously, the first pick is the one that gets all the pub, right? I mean,
Right.
But it's so important to be able to kind of sustain your success in the draft in the later rounds, right? I mean,
Right.
that's the idea is if you can. I mean, look, Marcus Colston.
Right.
He was like a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
So they hit big on that.
That's
right?
always usually the Saints, the way they did it. And it hit big on the later drafts
Right.
and stuff with it and all.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing about it is like you said, that's why I'll tell anybody. That's why it's a good thing they made it solid with the running back by getting in 10 instead. Because you get up here and people put all this on these rookies. Hey, it's a whole different ball game. You're gonna get some gonna come in, but you gotta remember what those guys did. Look at the ages of some of those kids they did them against.
Right.
You're coming up against all men now,
Yep.
in a whole different aspect. Now it's a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Way a little more serious, and the offensive schemes and defensive things are a lot more, faster pace.
Mm-hmm.
So to get that, so to expect a rookie, for most of them to come in and do their thing, that's a lot of weight on their shoulder, and it depends on the position.
Right. No, absolutely. It's interesting to see what the Saints will do. I love the speculation. I love
Right.
when people get excited about it. It makes it fun to watch. Who would have thunk that watching a bunch of names get pulled off boards would be exciting? But sure enough, it is. It's turned into a big show.
Yeah, they do, and the thing is, hey, like you said, when you look at it, that's kind of the thing about it. The thing for a rookie. Here you go, and you're going to make more money than guys that's been in the league 10, 15 years. Just being drafted into a certain spot. So that's a big thing about it. That makes I think the excitement about it.
When you
Especially
look
for the player.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the running back in Travis Etienne and him being able to come back to New Orleans. What do you like about his running style? Tell me a little bit about obviously he's got. I mean, he won a national championship at Clemson.
Right.
Played in, 2 more. And so, or maybe 1 more. I'm not sure. But they lost the one in 2019, but they won. One of the, I want to say they played in 3, but I could be wrong.
I'd say it's versatility.
Yeah, okay.
Real versatile. Awesome running back. Gets the ball out the backfield, and can do damage when he get in open field. So, those are the things. And got good power.
Yeah.
Compared to what I think the Saints had as far as the running back before. You had the more slashy.
Yeah, Alvin
Kamara and stuff here. Where you got some slash and some power at the same time. With Travis, so
Gotcha. Well, look, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in a Saints uniform for sure.
I am too.
All right.
Hey, for another one to be back in Louisiana.
That's it.
Yes, indeed.
Love to be able to pull for the local guys.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, sure enough. All right, Buford, don't go away. We got one more segment of the show. We're going to chat a little bit more, and we'll be back on Sports Chat. Don't go away.
Sports Chat with George Faust.
Welcome back to Sports Chat. I'm joining us this week is Buford Jordan. And Buford, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. It's been a pleasure. It always is when we get a chance to chat with you.
Yes, it is.
When you embarked on your career, did you always know you were gonna be able to be a professional athlete? Like with regards to when you were in high school, were you bigger than everybody else? Were you the fastest guy, the biggest guy?
As you say, it was. Wound up being bigger, and I had a little speed, with some of them, not all of them.
All right.
Because Barry Doucette, my buddy, used to give me a run for my money as far as the fastest guy. But it was just that, had all that, and then thing was played all the sports.
Yeah.
And even after practice, we'd play at home. The lot we played. Tackle football, the one pick it up, and all that. People like, what's that? We put the ball on the ground, and if we didn't have enough to make a team. Whoever pick up the ball to try to run, we tackle them. So we call it the one pick it up, tackle them. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So we did all that, and like you said, and hey, for me, one thing that I've done is I always did extra work to get there. I had the dream to play a ball, be a professional ball player, but. What I realized is I had to work hard. We get up in the morning, get my dad to wake me up in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I'd go run like 2 miles, 2.5 miles, come back, go to school. Go to school and practice. So that's the thing, and that's why with this flag football league we're doing, for kids, for us, we're hoping to give them just extra training that they don't have enough time to do with whatever sport they're with. That's our time is to focus. Yeah. We're working, like I said, on agility, conditioning, and speed. Yeah. All those things that you're going to need for every sport. So that's why I encourage people to do it, and I encourage kids to play as many sports as they can, because all them sports enhance your overall athletic ability. I've heard people, I just want them to focus on this. Okay, but if you focus on one thing and that dream don't happen, what does that kid have to hope for?
In the backup.
You know what I'm saying?
Not in a backup, but in the toolbox.
Yes, exactly.
What else does he have?
Exactly.
Right.
So if he's good at a few sports, let him play them all.
Yeah.
Then let the opportunity come there for it. But I hear people and kids focusing, especially on football. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. That's the last sport to quit everything to put your focus on.
I got 2 questions for you.
For it.
All right. First off, give us the website where people can sign up for your. It's in Kenner, Louisiana. It's a flag football league that you guys are working with the NFL on. Tell everybody where they can sign up if they would like.
2380EFL.com. That's where you really go to sign up.
Okay.
To find out about us is the NFLflag.com and City of Kenner. But our website, for anything they want, all that is our information on it about the league, 2380EFL.com.
And I have 2 questions that don't relate to anything in particular that I want to ask you.
Go for it.
One is, you're in phenomenal shape. What do? You still work out and all that good stuff? Does it every time
a week.
What's that?
5 days a week.
Okay.
I'm at the gym Monday through Friday, and I do a little bit. Because injuries is not heavy work, but it's consistent. And everything is about what you eat, watching what you eat, and then working them young kids. They keep me out there in the heat, sweating and moving. So,
gotcha.
You got to stay on top of that to stay with them, to hang with them.
Gotcha. And then the next question I have is the cowboy hat. Mm-hmm. I never see you without it.
Right.
Where did is that just something you just picked up, or is that you always wore a cowboy hat?
I've always done it. Like I said, being from Iota, farmers. And we always loved the rodeo. My dad wore cowboy hats, so I like it too. I feel like I'm going to work when I got one on.
Okay.
When you worked in them fields, baling hay, you had to have something covering your head, as you see farmers and stuff and cowboys, all that. Yeah. And then where I went, McNeese. Cowboys.
McNeese Cowboys.
Yeah, that's just it. I feel like it's my helmet to get out there when I'm working.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's why I asked. I
No,
was just curious about it.
That. Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's ever asked you that, but
Yeah.
it's definitely an iconic kind of staple that we see you and
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
you got the cowboy hat.
Yeah, so the cause for the good kids.
there you go. There you go. Well, Buford, thanks so much for coming in and spending some time with us. As all, you're always welcome to come back and chat about whatever you want to chat about. And you've always been gracious to us with your time, so we appreciate that.
And y'all been gracious to put me on when I needed to do something. So I definitely appreciate that.
For sure. It's a mutual respect here, for sure. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Chat. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.